But then I think there's always going to be new entrepreneurs out there and creatives that are coming into this field and wanting to make a name for themselves. So I'm definitely positive about the future.
What's up, everybody? This is Joe Vega, and welcome to another Flower Shop Secret podcast. And today, I'll be speaking with Corrine Heck, CEO and founder of Details Flowers. She's going to give us hope for the future of weddings and events in a post-COVID world, and how the software she's developed ultimately helps florists do more and earn more. Let's go. So the big question is this: how can small business owners like us in the floral industry overcome the greed of order gatherers and bypass the deceitful games played by wire services? How do we market, sell, and deliver flowers online so we may break free from these antiquated practices and earn our freedom? Those are some of the questions we will answer on this podcast. I'm Joe Vega. Welcome to Flower Shop Secrets. Want to connect with Corrine and Details Flowers? Visit info.detailsflowers.com/lovingly-podcast and use the code lovingly20 for 20% off a new monthly or annual membership. Hey, Corrine, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you, Joe?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for joining me. First of all, what is Details Flowers and how did it come to be?
Oh gosh. Okay, so Details Flowers is a software, and we mainly service event florists throughout the United States. We're in a few other countries, but mainly serve the US and Canada. And it is a software that's designed to help you do more and earn more through crafting beautiful proposals and all of your contracts that you might send out for weddings and special events. It also stores any recipes that you might do and has some really great drag and drop functionality to help you price and be more profitable. And it came to be because I was an event florist for 12, almost 13 years in Central Florida, and really struggled with a lot of those components and searched for a proper functioning software that would combine all the aspects of this crazy job, and couldn't find one. So I spent a bunch of years developing it after, I would say, a good R&D period in my own business. And we launched in 2015, and we're now serving hundreds and hundreds of florists, and couldn't be more proud. But yeah, it's a great tool and a resource to streamline things for people in that area of the floral industry.
That's fantastic. So you were an event florist for 12, 13 years then?
Yeah, I can't really keep track now. Every time I give an interview, it's like I've added more years on. So like the longer the dates get further away, I can't really recall, but I did have to finally put that part of my business to bed, so to speak, and just focus solely on the software. So we did that about 3 years ago. I transitioned from not serving wedding clients anymore, which was a really tough transition for all my customers, because they're still calling me now and like, please. But yeah, we're totally focused on that. But yeah, it was a really great run, and learned a lot. And now we teach a lot about that side of the business.
And just to go back a little bit, how did you become a wedding florist or wedding and events florist? Like what got you, how did you get started in the floral industry?
Yeah, my family actually owns nurseries in Apopka, Florida. So I grew up we sold dish gardens basically to florists throughout the country. So I never grew up wanting to be a florist. I actually wanted to be as far away from the plant business because it did not seem glamorous at all. And then in college, I was, for my sorority and Olive Panhellenic at the University of Florida, I became their events chair. So I hosted all the events and just found I loved it. And then once I got out of college, I started working for a florist and then an import company, selling boxes of flowers. And it just wasn't glamorous enough for me. Like, I really wanted to be where the events were. So I went to a bridal show. I made a bunch of bouquets and got a book of business, and then I was on my way. So I opened a small boutique after that, and was basically learning as I was going because there wasn't a manual. So I just was creating my own little world. But yeah, it became wildly successful in the Daytona Beach area, which is a huge destination market for weddings people coming from out of town just to host their weddings at the beach. And yeah, it just got going from there, but definitely had a lot of great friends who helped mature me through the process of learning the ins and outs.
You
But
mentioned you went through an extensive R&D process. Could you tell me what that's like? Because for me, that's my favorite part of after, like, I do a lot of things, but that is my favorite part. So I would like to hear from you. What was that process like for you?
well, I think the research and development part was more participating in over 800 weddings and special events. So learning like everything that needed to be included in my contract. You get burned a few times and then you learn your lesson. So that was a great place for research and development. And then once we got started, uh, we really had to interview our florists because I realized that not everybody was selling events the same way as I was. So, initially it started as just components that I found necessary, but then once we started working with people, we would find that they would do something so entirely different and that we had never even thought about. So had to start bringing in other people's opinions and so forth. But I would say that part of research and development, like on what our software should include. But then we also did research on like the market, meeting people, going to events, just kind of learning the entire industry and realizing that it's massively complicated. And so we're always in the business, I think, of research and development, of just going to places, learning more, not only about our customers, but also about different potential partners and how they relate to all of the people in the business.
Yeah, you learn a lot through that process. Did anything surprise you as you were going through that process yourself?
I was surprised by how many people, how the industry has shrunk in the last several years from what it was. And getting into this, I thought there was a lot of more customers, and I think that there were, but the supermarkets have definitely taken a large chunk of our like business. So I've seen just kind of understanding how products are imported into the country too has been a really eye-opening thing, to work in the import side and see how much product is coming in daily and having that process of, going through customs just to make it to the florist's hands. I've learned a lot. And so it's really hard
Right.
to kind of piecemeal that together for people to understand. Because I think when people are just getting started in the industry, or even consumers, they don't really know where product is coming from. And so to learn, for an event, you might have 50 different products that are coming from, 30 different countries. So getting all those pieces collaborated at the same time has been interesting.
Okay. You mentioned supermarkets. How do supermarkets play a role?
Oh, well, I feel like they have, kind of diminished the everyday florist business in a way, because you can easily go into any grocery store and buy that. So I was just saying that the industry has kind of shrunk from even when I started in it 12 years ago, 13 years ago, there were a lot more florists. And I feel like since a lot of grocers are introducing more bouquets, it's made our part of the business that much harder. And so
Right.
we really have to be price competitive, but also smarter in our buying habits and where we get our products. So that has been something we really just try to help or teach.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Ever since the supermarkets got involved, I mean, the industry has shrunk in terms of local florists,
Yeah.
and they do have a huge sort of, they have a lot of buying power they're big organizations.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
and they definitely affect the everyday orders, but do they also affect the weddings and events business?
We haven't seen that. I mean, I think there are certain larger grocers in, say, like Texas, that are getting into that field of, like, I think HEB does a lot of weddings. Um, so I haven't seen that here in Florida so much, but I definitely know that, especially with this pandemic, with the events not happening, retail florists or event florists have been moving into that retail sector. So they're definitely trying to get their foot back in that door. And I think it's our role to help convince consumers to support local florists, just because they're needing that extra hand.
Awesome. So let's switch things up a little bit. Like, why do florists enjoy details? Why do they enjoy your software? What do you hear the most?
Um, I think that they enjoy it because brides on the other end receive the proposals so well, and they sign the contracts so fast. And our just that price comfortability that you can have all of your products that you like outlined and what your markups should be, because I think that the math component in this industry moves so fast. There's so many different components to consider, and it just is really helpful in like calculations and knowing where you should be margin wise, and just the collateral that you get when you finish designing in details, which you can do in minutes, is top notch. And so it's a contract that sells.
So what, besides the business being successful and, having financial success as well, what do you enjoy the most about having a business?
I love my employees. I love having people on my team that are as committed and invested in what we're doing. Like that to me is so beautiful. That part has been really rewarding, and we're still small, but I feel like everybody feels like they're treasured and they have a specific role and they know what that is. So there's great accountability. And then I love seeing people win contracts. And I love those thankful people who are just like, wow, thank you so much. Because it did take like a long time. Like when there's nothing there, we get, there's a few people that complain probably almost daily. And it's usually the same 5 people, but they're really loud and kind of uncomfortable. Like I'm like, oh, it's like the bride you wish you didn't book, like, and you get these people but they teach you so much about where you need to go. So even those people I'm thankful for, because they've really helped us make the software better. But I really enjoy the people who are thankful and live from that place. So when they are thankful, like that makes me say, okay, this was all worth it.
Yeah. That could be a tricky spot because, for them, this is not a job. This is their livelihood, right? So every little thing matters and is magnified when something doesn't work out as they expect it to work out. It's not just, oh, it's a mistake, let's fix it. It's more like, what is going on? Like, this is not how it's supposed to be. And it could be challenging sometimes.
Yeah. And, getting into the coding world, and I'm so thankful to have such brilliant minds working on our software, but, things people think are easy fixes or easy solutions, and it seems so like simple to them. They don't realize that for everything we add or remove, that we have so many users to consider, and what is this going to impact them? And, so to add like a modal, to have like a button where you can turn something off or on, maybe if you don't want it there, you do want it there, is not always the easiest solution for the people making it. So I feel like there needs to be a bit of understanding on the part of like even our customers, like understanding what we're doing and how complicated all of this is, and that we don't want to disrupt their work too much. And we really do a good job of, I think, giving our users all of the tools that we create. Like we don't make them buy one piece or another. Like if we make it and they're a customer, like they get it. And I think that sometimes they don't really notice how it's expanded, or we've made so much more that we haven't asked them for fees on either. So, but the demands keep coming of what they want. So it's like, okay, well, remember what you had when you signed up. So it's a lot better now. And I don't know. Those kind of things are just, I think, growing pains and things we just have to realize how to talk to our customers or communicate things. So we really try to be an open book and honest about where we're going or how we intended for this to function. Maybe it's not the way you envision it to be, but then, you could go write a software as well. No, so it's like mom's dinner, take it or leave it. So.
Yeah, listen, I couldn't agree with you more on it's not just about building this one thing. A lot of times people don't realize not only how complicated it is, but the fact that if you create something, it's going to affect something else, and they don't consider that something else. As an example, if let's say a a customer of theirs, 2 or 3 customers of theirs have asked for a particular feature. They call you up and they're like, hey, can you build this feature? My customers need it. But they may not realize that by building this feature will interfere with something that's actually already working flawlessly, that 97% of the people want it that way. So I feel like they don't consider that 97, because it's kind of invisible. It's hard to blame them because they don't see it. And
Absolutely.
that's what we have, like, for example, like analytics, for
Mhm.
example, do you make decisions based on data and analytics?
Absolutely. Yeah, we look at almost everything that our users are doing or how they're interacting. And then we log every feature request. And so we actually have that set up by like pages, so we can see all the features that were requested on this page. And when we develop or add new features, we only work on one section at a time, like to not and we try to check off all the things that were requested. So when we do something, we take everybody's input into that. And usually we do deliver. There's nothing that we really will ever say no to. But we also found that when we started in this, that we wanted to do things a little different. And the way florists have calculated their pricing and how they should charge for recipes is like so complicated, and we've really simplified it. And I think there's a lot of people who appreciate that, and some that still want to do it the old way, and they can't quite consider our new way that we're doing it. So it's a fine line where you can only make some of the people happy,
Some of the time.
some of the time, but most of our customers are raving about us. And we do track their activity level. We can tell if someone isn't using the site, if they're and we consider those high risk. And so we do try to put more educational information, because we do want users who are in there every day working on their events, collecting payments from their customers. These are all signs that their business is healthy. So we try to make content to help them along too.
That's fantastic. So what are some of the newly added features you've added lately?
There was probably 20 new features that we added this last year. And of course, my mind is going blank. I'm really only focused on what we're doing like now, but we have recently added something called collections. So this is where people can make any type of collection they might want. Maybe they want a color collection or a trend collection, but basically it's just different folders that they can house all of their blooms and items, and so they can easily upload all of those to an event. So if you were doing, say, a Halloween inspired event, you might just go into your Halloween folder, grab all those items there and add them to your design contract, and voila, you have a beautiful Halloween designed wedding in a matter of minutes. So it's pretty exciting what you can do with it. And our users always just blow me away with the creative ways and things that they come up with on how they're doing that. So that is one of our newest features that is really, really cool. And also templates. So people can create a whole event and they can just save it as a template and use it again and again. And I mean, it's pretty fabulous. As far as designing a wedding in Excel, you almost can't save that as an exact replication sometimes. So we tried to think of the ways that we can save people time.
In your space, has there been any new players into the market since you started?
We only have, I think, really one competitor. And so that I think is, I don't think it will stay that way forever, because I think people will see there's things lacking. But I also know how complicated this side of the business is, and that there are a lot of people in the space that haven't wanted to even dip their toe in the water as far as eventing and how to get all those pieces together. But I would have to say, as far as our competitor goes, I think that we're more floral centric and that we're really focused on the floral industry. And I think that they're more into servicing any kind of event professional, which, can be easily big distractions when a catering company is asking you for something, or, a DJ company is asking you for something, and we're only listening to our florists. So I think that's a good thing.
So would you say that florists should definitely sign up with you because you're laser focused on them?
Yeah, and I think that that's necessary. Like when I first started my event business, I wanted to do it all, and I wanted to be a wedding planner, and I was like, oh, I'll handle the invitations and I'll do all of this. But you realize that you can't be good at everything, and that's why I've really made it a mission to focus on the floral industry, having worked on the import side and seeing how disconnected a lot of our wholesalers were to our customers, and even beyond that, our farms. So we have really gone above to have our farms connected with our florists. And so people can actually see what products are being grown or what's available or what is new and coming up. So I think that that is really exciting and definitely where the next year is going to bring us.
Great. So you work with florists, but you also work with wholesalers or farmers, correct?
Yeah,
Can
we
you
do.
talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so Details was designed so that we can house any type of catalog of sorts of products. And so we have different representations from Ball, which is a breeder. So any product that Ball breeds is on our site. And so when our florists use that product, they get those specific varieties. So they know exactly what to ask their wholesaler for. But it's really interesting for Ball because they can see what products are trending, or what months are these products going to be most sought after or most used? What should they plant more of? What should they sell more seeds of? So all of those products, we have Alexandra Farms on there, all their garden roses. When you're selling a wedding, you want to sell, you're usually very color specific, but you would like to see, oh my gosh, there's 40 different varieties of different garden roses, and I want that one. So if you have the intention of what you're looking for, not only are you getting the name right, but you're also able to like communicate that to your suppliers in a more robust like way. So yeah, we have all of lots of different products. We've got Alaska peony growers on there, and we added a new wholesaler, and we haven't started marketing for them, but all their products are online right now.
So Details Flowers behaves more like a platform, right? You talk to both sides and you allow both sides to talk to each other and they conduct business there. Is that right?
Yep. That's what my big vision was, because when you're planning an event and you need 30 different products, it's sometimes hard to know where to get that and where do you keep that information. So now you can log in and check out this rose. Oh yes, I got that rose from this supplier. This is how much I spent for it. Okay, I know if I send out this proposal that I'm priced right and that is a variety I can get at that month of the year. So it's really like a database that houses any information that you might want on your inventory, Accent Decor's inventory. We have a connection with them where their inventory is updated nightly on our site. So if you're going to look at a certain votive, you can check their inventory to see if it's available even before you sell it, which I think is so vital. We get into this thing where we're selling to our clients a certain look, and then when you go to buy it, you're like, oh crap, I can't get any of that product because it's not available. How did I not know this? So like these issues that I was faced with in my daily business of research and development are part of the tools and functionality that we've added specifically for event florists.
Okay, so let's say I'm a florist. I have Details Flowers, and I'm with a bride, and and she's looking to get married sometime next year. Could I look what type of flowers are going to be available during the time where the wedding's going to happen?
Yeah, so you can either sit with your brides and use our software during your consultation. We have a privacy mode so that they can't see any costs or any things that you wouldn't want them to see, because there's been a lot of our customers that have been doing these virtual meetings over Zoom. So it's really fun to share the details screen. It's really a beautiful platform. So if you, and it was designed specifically that way because I think that florists are very visual and very creative, and they want to look at something that is beautiful all day long rather than a DOS. So yeah, you could sit with your bride, drag and drop some blooms in. Oh, is that bouquet too expensive? Okay, well, rather than garden rose, let's use, Colombian roses. And you can see how the prices change just by selecting different blooms. And, we don't say to our florists to build a whole bouquet, but you could come up with budgets and set designs, pick some flowers, pick a color palette, present them with a beautiful proposal at the end. And our goal through our executive summary is that you, at the end of that consultation, will walk away with a retainer holding in that date, and then you can create the rest of the event in the next few months. But our brides, once they see that proposal, man, they want to just share it with all their friends. So we try to convince our florist not to give the bride the copy of the design plans until they get that retainer, so they get that booked. But you know, the bride will pay a pretty penny to get that design to show her all her girlfriends. So it's just a great sales tool, I would have to say.
So you build the florist side first, and then you notice through R&D that there was a need to connect them to the wholesalers. How long did it take you to realize that? At what point did you make that first connection?
Actually, that was the first connection I made. So I worked on the import side for a number of years, selling boxes of flowers to wholesalers. And through that process of selling for an import company, I was always angry at my buyer because my buyer never brought the right color of product in. Like, they would bring in yellow, and everybody that was calling me was asking for purple. And I would say, how did you not know that we were going to need more purple? Because I worked off a commission, and I thought if you would have brought in more purple, like, hey, we'd all be happier. And they said, well, no one knows. And it just suddenly clicked with me the moment I started doing weddings, that for the first couple years of doing weddings, I really flew by the seat of my pants. I didn't know what I was going to need to order when I sold an event. And through a lot of mistakes, I realized I had to be more granular. So I had to know all the product that I was going to need for that event in the moment that I sold the event. And I had to know what I was going to pay for it. And once I had that wedding all done, in the moment I met with a bride, I realized if I could get other people to use a software where they were doing it the same, then it would hugely benefit the other side, because we would have that order, say in January, for a wedding in October. And that was the information that I needed as a salesperson of selling boxes of flowers. Did I make that?
Yes, you
I was like,
connected that
gosh.
perfectly. That was great.
Yeah, so I was almost like, I saw that was a problem on the wholesale side, because I wasn't maximizing those sales. Like, I was missing out on sales simply by not having the right product in-house that day. And then, once I became a florist, it was like, well, I can't make money if I don't know what I'm going to be selling. Or, people send you this picture. What is this going to cost? It's like, heck, I don't know. I have to make one to see how much product I'm going to use. Then I have to calculate how much that product costs. How much am I going to cost to get it? And those things were just it's such a complicated job that I feel like we've made it a no-brainer.
That's fantastic. You mentioned that you mentioned that a lot of florists are having Zoom calls. I think the whole world is having a lot more Zoom calls, right?
Yeah.
How has COVID impacted your business?
Goodness. So, I was actually in DC when COVID struck and they shut everything down. And I came back to Florida and was like, okay, well, we need to get our whole team remote. We have an office here, and that was like a big challenge, just to, how was I going to redirect the phones? And, we had to go and get a bunch of new apps and, really change our business almost overnight in the way that we were operating, but without, we are available to our florists 9 to 5 every day, Monday through Friday. So at no time did we ever disrupt that type of service. If anybody had questions, they were able to meet us. And I think what we realized is we had to provide our customers with more content on how they were going to do their business better. And not that we could, we created more videos for them on how to use almost every aspect of our software. Wherever they had questions, we had all this online, and found that was a really useful time, because a lot of people wanted to spend the time at home or when they weren't doing anything enhancing or learning new skills. And so we really had to come at full speed to bring those, teaching time to our customers. So I would say that's how we pivoted the most, but it was really kind of healthy for us too, to go through that experience.
So how has COVID, have you heard from your experience in terms of like the wedding industry? How do you think it's affecting it?
Oh gosh, I think it's impacted it enormously. I think we've really taken a big hit. We've seen a lot of our customers having to close their doors. So that is really unfortunate and really, kind of is very sad. We definitely early on knew we had to evaluate our business differently given those circumstances and say, okay, a customer that's here now might not be here in the future. So we really had to focus in on our cash flow projections. We're subscription based. So if people cancel their subscription, they're gone, so what do we do there? But wow, it's been really tough, and it's been really great to see that there are certain states that are opening back up and getting events happening, because that's our bread and butter. Like our florist bread and butter too. Like they are event florists. They do not want to be like full on retail. They want to, have their business the way they want their business and not, necessarily open to the public. So it's been certainly a challenge just to see how they've maneuvered. And initially, we only had one contract template that they could create. And then we found that was just not going to be the case. Like they needed a variety of different templates that they could use for their contracts, depending on the circumstance. So that was a really addition that we added this year in a couple of weeks, just by all these people saying, hey, I need this to be in here for this bride. I need this to say this for this bride. And now they can, write any kind of template contract they want as far as terms go and attach those for different unique customers.
So is there hope for the future despite the drastic change?
I think there's definitely hope for the future. We have seen this is our biggest January as far as like seeing what our florists are selling through the system, like as far as contracts go. So we can see from those stats that business is definitely picking up. And so that is a kind of a relief to see, because it definitely, April declined, May declined, June was like really down, July was down. And then all of a sudden towards the end of the year, we see a little bit going stronger. So I think that, there may be less customers, just like with the supermarket shrinkage, there might be less when we fully come out of this. And I think the florists that are left will be really, really strong and getting a lot of business. So I think that those ones will be waving the blue ribbon, like, hey, here, we made it out of this alive. But then I think there's always going to be new entrepreneurs out there and creatives that are coming into this field and wanting to make a name for themselves. So I'm definitely positive about the future.
Yeah. Me too. I'm definitely optimistic about it. Corrine Heck from Details Flowers, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me, Joe.
It's been a pleasure. This has been really fun.
Yeah. I always love to get to know more about you. And I think you guys are doing such a great job over there. So happy to be flower friends in the industry. And anytime we can do anything, let me know.
Thank you.
We want to help your business bloom. Check out more episodes of Flower Shop Secrets. Watch now on YouTube, like, subscribe, and ring the bell for new episodes.